Have you ever felt like something in your body was trying to tell you a story you didn't quite understand? A whisper so subtle that you dismissed it as nothing more than a passing discomfort, only to realize later that silence can sometimes be the loudest warning of all, and that what we ignore today can shape the consequences we face tomorrow in ways we never imagined. Many women over the age of 30 move through life balancing responsibilities, careers, relationships, and personal growth, often placing their own health quietly in the background, trusting that minor symptoms will resolve on their own, assuming that irritation, unusual discharge, or slight discomfort must be something harmless, something temporary, something unworthy of attention. Yet beneath that assumption can lie a condition that thrives on being overlooked, a condition that does not demand urgency, but instead survives through silence. The truth is, not every health issue arrives with dramatic signals. Not every warning is sharp or unmistakable. And sometimes the most dangerous conditions are the ones that blend seamlessly into what feels normal, what feels familiar, what feels easy to ignore. This is where awareness becomes more than knowledge. It becomes protection, it becomes empowerment, it becomes the quiet decision to listen more closely to your own body even when everything seems manageable on the surface. Inspired by the thoughtful perspective of Dr. Patricia J. Johnson, this conversation invites you to pause and reconsider what you may have been taught to overlook, to recognize that subtle changes are not always insignificant and that your body communicates in ways that require patience, attention, and respect. Too often, symptoms that could signal something deeper are mistaken for common infections or everyday irritation, leading to delays in understanding what is truly happening beneath the surface. And in those delays, the condition quietly progresses, not with urgency, but with persistence. Imagine the power of simply choosing to pay attention, of refusing to dismiss what feels different, of trusting that even the smallest discomfort deserves acknowledgement. Because in that moment of awareness lies the possibility of prevention, the opportunity to act before something manageable becomes something complicated. The journey toward health is not always about reacting to pain. Sometimes it is about recognizing the absence of clarity, the subtle shifts that don't quite fit, the quiet signals that ask for your attention without demanding it. Yet, what makes this situation even more unsettling is not just the presence of subtle symptoms, but the way they evolve quietly over time, almost adapting to your routine until they feel like a part of your normal life. And that is where the real danger begins to take shape. Because when discomfort becomes familiar, it loses its urgency. And when urgency fades, action is delayed in ways that can have lasting consequences. Many women find themselves rationalizing these signs, telling themselves that slight itching is nothing unusual, that a mild change in discharge is probably just hormonal, that occasional discomfort will pass just as it has before, and in doing so, they unknowingly give space for something deeper to persist beneath the surface without interruption. The suspense lies in this very uncertainty, in not knowing whether what you are experiencing is harmless or a signal of something more serious, and in that space between assumption and awareness, time continues to move forward without pause. Dr. Patricia J. Johnson often emphasizes that the body rarely betrays us without offering clues first. But those clues are not always obvious, and they do not always arrive in a way that demands immediate concern, which is why so many individuals overlook them until the situation becomes more complicated than it needed to be. Imagine carrying something within your body that does not cause immediate pain, something that does not stop your daily routine, something that allows you to function normally while quietly affecting your internal health, and then realizing later that what felt manageable was actually a warning that went unanswered. This is where fear can begin to build, not from the condition itself, but from the realization that it could have been addressed earlier, that a simple decision to pay attention could have changed the outcome entirely. There is a hidden tension in that thought, a realization that our greatest vulnerability often comes from what we choose to ignore rather than what we confront directly. As time passes, these overlooked symptoms can begin to create deeper complications, affecting not only physical well-being but also emotional confidence and peace of mind, because uncertainty has a way of growing heavier the longer it is left unresolved. The question then becomes not whether the signs were present, but whether they were acknowledged, and that question carries a weight that lingers long after the symptoms themselves have changed. And in that realization, there is also a powerful opportunity, because the moment you begin to truly listen to your body is the moment you begin to reclaim control over your health, your confidence, and your future in a way that no external voice can dictate for you. And that awareness becomes the turning point where uncertainty transforms into intentional action. The message inspired by Dr. Patricia J. Johnson is not meant to create fear, but to awaken responsibility, to remind you that your well-being deserves attention even when life feels too busy to pause, and that prevention is not a reaction to crisis, but a commitment to self-respect. When you choose to acknowledge even the smallest changes, you are not overreacting, you are responding with wisdom. And that distinction matters more than most people realize, because early awareness opens doors that delayed action often closes. Imagine approaching your health with curiosity instead of dismissal, choosing to seek clarity rather than comfort in assumptions, and allowing yourself the space to ask questions that could protect you from long-term complications that are far more difficult to address later. There is strength in taking that step, in scheduling a checkup, in seeking answers, in refusing to let uncertainty define your experience, because every proactive decision builds a foundation of trust between you and your own body. What once felt like a quiet, confusing signal now becomes an invitation to act with purpose, to prioritize yourself without guilt, and to recognize that your health is not something to negotiate or postpone. The truth is, the cost of ignoring subtle symptoms can extend far beyond what is visible in the moment, affecting reproductive health, emotional well-being, and the sense of control you carry within your own life. But the power to prevent that outcome lies within the simple, intentional act of paying attention and taking action before silence turns into consequence. Let this be a reminder that your body speaks in many ways, and every signal, no matter how small, carries meaning that deserves to be heard, understood, and respected without hesitation. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.